the HomeTech Podcast for Friday, December 16th from Sarasota, Florida. I'm Seth Johnson.
From Powell, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
And welcome to the HomeTech Podcast all about home automation. I can't talk tonight. I guess it's too late. It's very late tonight.
Brain shut down.
I'm done. I did nothing but like yard work all day, so I'm just, I'm dead. I did power washing, yard work. It was gross. I'm done.
It's that time of year. Everybody needs everything done at the last second. And then you realize that you have so many things to do in the last second.
Oh, people are coming to my house? I mean, I have to clean it up? Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays, sir.
We're not going to see you. We're probably not going to see. We're not going to be back next week. Next week's a bye week, but we do have a show that we'll play. That was the what's it called? The Fireside Chat. So we're going to play that. It was a lot of fun. And it'll probably show up in a number of other feeds as well. But you know, that's what happens this time of year. And then I'm pretty unsure unless something major happens, we won't have a show the week after. So yeah, this is the last show maybe for this year, right, guys? I think so.
The last news show, at least, right? I mean, like I said, we have the Fireside Chat that's probably going to come out next week, but we're not going to be back until 2023. I'll be traveling, the week after Christmas. I'll be in Florida still. And, everybody's kind of recovering from Christmas. So I don't think anybody really wants to hear us talk. And to be honest, there's probably not going to be any news released the week of Christmas. So
you usually got to wait till the CES. And then there's something that comes out about, something to talk about at least. So that'll be fun. And we do have two headlines this week, though.
About as many as last week, huh? I mean, I wasn't here for last week, but I heard the show. Didn't sound like there was much.
No, there wasn't.
It's amazing after Matter comes out, there's like nothing to talk about.
I know, it's like Matter's here, and then it's like, guess not. Maybe not. Don't know. Anyway, what do you say we jump into these two HomeTech headlines?
Let's do it.
So the first, speaking of Matter, the first Matter compatible devices are finally here, starting today. And, actually today as we're recording, December 12th, Eve Systems is beginning to roll out a firmware update to its Thread-enabled Eve Energy Smart Plug, Eve door and wireless window contact sensor, and the Eve motion sensor. I guess got to put that double word in there. And that'll upgrade them to Matter. The Matter update to Eve devices is currently optional because once you update, you can't migrate back. It's a one-way go. You'll need an iOS device or iPad, iPhone or iPad device, and it needs to be on at least software version 16.2 to kick off that update. But once it's on the Matter network, it can be controlled by an Android phone using SmartThings or Amazon Alexa or Google Home, all that good stuff. Apple is expected to release an iOS and iPad 16.2 before the end of the year here. So Eve is working on an Android app, which it says will arrive sometime in the first half of 2023. Good news for Apple home users, at least, is that Eve devices are not going to use their functionality when you upgrade them to Matter. So this is kind of interesting. Despite a few things not being supported by Matter, somehow Apple has worked with Eve and kind of put a little backdoor in for them. So things like energy monitoring and child lock, autonomous schedules, advanced automations, all that good stuff will remain on the Eve stuff. It will remain available, but it's going to be HomeKit only. Gavin, you said they were going to mess this up. Is this how they're going to mess this up?
This is what I was waiting on. As soon as, from the time they announced this, I'm like, there's going to be something in here. The companies have to find a way to distinguish themselves from each other, right? And I was like, they're going to mess this up, make it more confusing somehow, and I think this is how they're going to do it. So you're going to have this Matter-compatible device, and the basic functions, I guess the on-off feature, will work with everything, and that's nice. But then the advanced features, some will work here, some may work here. Who knows how this is just the first device. So I don't know over time what's going to happen, as we get more into this, how our device is going to, are they going to do this for every ecosystem now? You develop a device and now you have to develop these extra features to work on everything. I thought Matter was supposed to make this all easier. I don't know. We'll see. I'd love to talk to somebody making a device that has to deal with all this type of stuff, and see what their views on, what it's like.
It'll be interesting once I actually get my Matter USB hub. But I think until then, I'm kind of just waiting it out to see what everybody else does. I just got notification that I think you ordered the same thing, Gavin, the Home Assistant Sky Connect USB hub.
Yeah.
I was part of the original orders, and so it looks like I should have mine, I would think, within the next month. And at that point, I'll probably start looking at Matter devices. So it's good to see that Eve is updating some of these devices, and maybe that'll be one of the first ones I use. But pretty much right in line with what we thought of Matter at this point, right? Nothing's really a surprise.
So are we going to get like devices now that are like, we're Matter compatible, but more compatible with HomeKit,
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and it's just going to be more confusing. It's going to, you're going to look at a device and you go, well, I get these features with HomeKit and this, The one nice thing about Matter is, when you add it to the whole Matter ecosystem, it works with, you can have it added to each ecosystem at the same time. So you don't have to, remove it from one to add it to the other. So, you can play in the different ones, but this is just going to be confusing. I think over time, somebody's going to spin up a database, what does this Matter device work with? Or, and you're going to look it up and it's just another level of confusion I'm not happy
Another
about.
database.
Yeah.
We already have the button database, and now we're gonna need. No, we're not doing any more databases.
We're gonna have the Matter database.
Yeah, the Matter DB.
Doesn't matter.
Willitmatter.com.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's a good one,
willitmatter.db.com. Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, I don't know. Matter is easier in the respect that it's good for setting the device up and getting it on some network, but I don't think we have to worry too much. Like, I'm looking at this going, okay, you upgrade this device and now you get to use it on all these other ecosystems it didn't work on before. That's a big check. And then all of the like fine grained stuff works with Apple because they have some way of getting those numbers in there. And if you're on that ecosystem, like, it works best with the Apple HomeKit ecosystem. They could put that little sticker on there. Works best with Apple. But for the most part, if you just need the thing to turn on and off, you can still use the Google Assistant or the Echoes and yell at them, right?
I think what'll happen is that, basically what happens now is they say, works with whatever platform, and they'll probably keep that. It'll still have Matter in there, so you can kind of use it with whatever you want. But they're still going to retain the works with and pick one or two platforms that it works best with, and that's kind of what you use.
Well, I'm just starting to think of like Google and how the Alexa platforms work. Like, they're not similar on the back end of what programmers have access to. They're somewhat similar, but not very similar. Each company had their own way of taking and ingesting that data that was coming from devices and sensors and implementing control over them and that kind of thing. So at least with the HomeKit stuff, it's a local device. It's reporting to basically another local device running, a HomeKit database and saving all of that information. There's, if you look at the HomeKit app, like, the HomeKit app doesn't have everything that HomeKit does in it. You have to get like third-party apps that can drill down and get this data and information that exist. There's so much that devices can publish to HomeKit, just as like, energy monitoring and that kind of thing. Like, those are extra things they've always been able to publish into HomeKit for developers and these third-party devices to bring in. Or I think you could even use some of that stuff off shortcuts, but it's not been something that surfaces completely on the home app itself. Like, that interface is kind of dumbed down for all of the data that these devices could actually report into HomeKit. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking, like, at the same time, it really doesn't matter too much that this is happening, because you wouldn't be able to take advantage of that stuff anyway on the other platforms.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. And that's, like I said, that's pretty much what we thought this whole time, is that when you go to more advanced stuff or you want to do more complex things, you're going to have to use whatever originally came with it. A lot of these platforms are not going to support the advanced features. They don't right now. There's not an incentive for manufacturers to make that as part of it. So it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I'm not thinking this is an advanced feature. Like, this is something that the device currently does, right? It works currently on HomeKit. They're not making that go away. In fact, when you upgrade to Matter, that stuff still exists because the HomeKit platforms always supported it. What we'd be rooting for is if Amazon and Google implement something like the HomeKit has, or maybe, Home Assistant or something probably does, because that's what they do. They're going to implement all that data collection, and maybe just because that device is putting off those variables and everything that Amazon and Google ignore or just don't surface, these other platforms will be able to get a hold of that data because it's on the Matter network and bring it in to their systems. And then it's a race across the platform. So like, oh yeah, we surface all of the data for all your product, and you can get in there and automate and do everything you want off these sensors. That's awesome. That'd be great. I'm hoping that's what we see here, and not so much they're not, it doesn't seem to me like they're trying to silo this product to HomeKit or whatever. Like, Eve has traditionally just been a HomeKit product. Like, it hasn't been, to my knowledge. Do you know if they've worked with other things like Amazon Alexa and Google Home? I don't know. I've only ever used them on HomeKit.
I'm not very familiar with them. I'm not sure if they did work. I've always heard of them with HomeKit.
Yeah.
Let's look that up.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't get the feeling that they're trying to silo it and leave all the best stuff to Apple. I just think Apple supported that stuff from the beginning, and it at least surfaced it to the developer. And in this case, with HomeKit, the way it's structured and developed, other developers have been able to surface those variables for you. So interesting stuff. But let's move on here to the next one. New product, yay!
Ooh.
This is not going to make it into my house, but
did you want taller Sonos speakers? Well, you're in luck.
we IKEA and Sonos have got you covered. One automated. Oh, so Jimmy in the chat here saying Eve worked only with HomeKit historically, and this is why they don't have the Android app. Yep, good point. That's what I thought. It was a HomeKit centric product. So they're kind of staying in their domain and everything, and hopefully we'll see those variables and stuff leaked out through the other platforms as well, and made available somehow. I don't know how you'd even do that and like program off that stuff in the other ones, but Home Assistant would probably be a good first go at it, I would think. Let's see. So back to our tall speakers with the globe thing on top. IKEA and Sonos have started collaborating back in 2019 with the original Symphonist table lamp, and now they've just put some legs on it and made it taller. There's a new Symphonist 4 lamp speaker that is designed to sit elevated for surround speakers, basically. I guess you don't technically have to use it for just surround speakers, but I think everybody that I've seen looks at this and says, oh, that makes sense for surround speakers. You put these floor lamps on the floor next to the couch, and now you have an elevated Symphonist speaker lamp thing next to your couch at ear level. It's pretty good. It's still pretty ugly. The table lamp will launch on IKEA in January 2023. It's priced at $259 in the US. TJ, you gonna grab a couple of these? Set up a surround sound or two?
You know, honestly, if I didn't already buy the Sonos ones with stands, I would probably buy these, because if you live in an apartment, for some reason, they don't put lights into like any of the rooms, minus like the kitchen and the bathroom and the hallway, but you can't have them in your bedroom or your second bedroom because that makes too much sense. But I mean, by the time I bought the Sonos one for $219, and then I bought the stand for, I think it was like $50 each or something like that. I'm already basically at the cost of this, and it would come all in one. So this is appealing for a surround sound system, and if you need lights. I mean, I don't think it's the most attractive thing in the world, but I think there's also uglier things like their bookshelf speaker that they have. So
the bookshelf speaker works.
Yeah, but it's ugly as sin.
It's just a flat shelf.
Yeah, but like it looks cheap. I mean, and granted, it's like $120, so it is cheap.
Yeah,
but I mean, it looks cheap. So this one, I mean, this looks like something you could put in somebody's house, and they probably wouldn't hate you for it.
Yeah.
Mine's actually on a bookshelf, so you don't really, all you see is the grill, really. So
Even better.
yeah, I hide the cheapness.
Yes.
Wait,
It's IKEA.
you put a bookshelf on a bookshelf, or you put a Sonos?
I put the speaker on a bookshelf, and I have books leaning up against it. So,
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Looks good. For the price you pay for those, like I don't really complain because it gets you into the whole Sonos ecosystem for cheap. So I'm kind of happy with it. But, TJ, I got to teach you how to shop for deals because, the prices you're throwing out there for your Sonos ones and stuff, man, I found those for cheap when I bought mine.
Well, that's just MSRP, Gavin. I don't want to give away dealer prices. So.
Oh, okay. It's more expensive through dealer.
Yeah, I get either get dealer pricing or I have a ton of Sonos coupons for 15 to 30% off. So I'm not paying full price for Sonos. Don't you worry.
Okay.
All right. Well, an interesting product. I still don't like the look of it too much. I don't like the look of it at all.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It doesn't. I mean, we have IKEA furniture. It doesn't. I don't think that would fit. It would not fit. It would not make it past the design committee at the house. I can tell you that. It's not going to make it in there.
I never liked the look of their lamps in the first place. So I mean, this just puts the look of their lamp at eye level now.
It's like
now I can't avoid it. It's right there.
Yep. It's hard to believe that you have a design committee though, Seth.
Oh, there's one here. Yes, absolutely. Not in my garage. I mean, no.
Yeah.
That's all me. All right. Well, all the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found in our show notes over at HomeTech.fm/416. Nothing in the mailbag this week. Really nothing for the pick of the week either, but we would like to promote for our pick of the week, HomeTech.social. If you're not on there, go check it out. It's a Mastodon instance, I guess, which is what all the cool kids are leaving Twitter for. And if you go on it and sign up, you'll have a Mastodon account. And we're happy with it, I guess. I actually get a lot of information off of there that is more relevant than what I would see on Twitter. Although a lot of the things I see people complaining about Twitter, I never actually got because like ads.
I don't use their Twitter. I was always using Tweetbot. But the thing I don't like about Tweetbot, their push notifications just suck. So, I mean, I can't win, but at least I don't see ads.
Yeah, I've never seen ads on Twitter. I didn't even know it was a thing. Yeah. And then there's the thing where people put a ton of hashtags or something, like 5 or 6 hashtags. I always like filtered those out with Tweetbot. So I never saw any of that garbage. HomeTech.social. It's a lot more calmer, and there's because it's a smaller, admittedly smaller social network, but already had somebody reach out and say, hey, by the way, I noticed that you said that your server crashes and you can't get the logs off of it when it crashes. You should push those out with a syslog server. I'm like, yeah, I should. So, but I've got to figure out how to set that up. And it was one of those things that was like,
there's a Docker probably for it.
I'm sure there is. If it was easy for me to like just double click an icon on the Mac and just have it running and set up, I would do it. But I'm being extremely lazy, and it hadn't crashed in a week. So, yay, team.
Seth does not need anything running on his Unraid server.
No. This would be running on another server to monitor
that's fine.
Yeah, you got to have something to monitor the Unraid server. Yeah. So
when in doubt, double down.
So it's been up for a week now?
Yeah, it's been up since we used it last. So yeah, about a week. I haven't rebooted it.
Wow.
Longer than my Home Assistant setup. Wow.
We're about to get to that. But HomeTech.social, everybody check that out. It's a good thing. And I would like to thank Matt for pointing me in the direction of syslog. I've been thinking about doing that. I just haven't been able to nail down exactly how to do that. So
that's all right. You'll have a couple weeks off coming up.
Yeah, I might be able to do some. No. You weeks off? Have you? I mean, do you know what coming up? Like, no, there's no time off.
Well, no, I meant weeks off for like, we're not going to make you do anything, but you'll probably still have family obligations.
Yeah.
It's not like you cut the lawn anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you should have a lot of free time.
I know.
I'm out there just no. I mean, you have to go out there and watch him cut the lawn. Though. So like
The poor family. It's like Seth never pays attention to us anymore since we got this robot lawnmower.
He stands outside with a beer in his hand, watching this thing roll around his yard. And then the neighbors come out and stand next to him with beers in their hand. And next thing you know, there's 4 of them standing there watching this thing go around.
That's kind of happened already, but yeah.
Daughter's like, "Can you come to my event?" You're like, "Heck no, I'm watching the lawnmower."
Lawnmower, it's very important.
You're gonna do that again. Don't worry.
Don't want him to fall into the creek. All right. Poor Clippy. All right. But anyway, HomeTech.social, please check it out. If you're looking for a more calm, sane social network than what was over at Twitter. I think we're gonna have some fun over there with it. And HomeTech can be, home automation centric, and we can talk about all that good stuff over there.
I think the only thing missing at this point is Annoyed Richard, and it doesn't sound
He's
like
there.
Annoyed Richard is going to make it over.
I mean,
it's all the same at this point, and it's just not the same.
I think he probably needs an entire Mastodon instance for his own personality.
I say we help him. Annoyed Richard was the best part of Twitter.
Annoyed.social.
There were many Richards that were on there. Yeah. It's quite interesting. All right, but if you have any feedback, questions, comments, picks of the week, or great ideas for a show, give us a shout. The email address is feedback@HomeTech.fm, or you can visit HomeTech.fm/feedback and fill out the online form. All right, project update time. My project this last weekend was digging my yard up because I decided to do that, and then I broke 2 screens, and now I've got to rescreen part of my porch. So nothing to do with home technology.
You're digging up the yard. The fiber people are digging up your yard. I mean, now's the time to dig up the yard, I guess.
Yeah, I did. I saw a guy out there looking like he was doing something. He was kind of he had a phone.
A government worker.
Well, he had a phone thing, and he was walking around he'd open it up, and I think he was just checking off the work. And I went out to talk to him, and he's like, "I know English," and I was like, "All right." So, but then he grabbed the Google Translate app, and we had a conversation. And they're supposed to be all completed by December 23rd.
Ooh.
Blown away. Yeah.
That's impressive, even with the hurricane,
Yeah. I thought
I thought
so
you'd
too.
been pushed off like years. I'm sorry.
I'm hoping that we can get cranked up towards the beginning of the year. That'd be great. I'm not gonna have time to even think about it, but if January rolls around and I'll be knocking on their door. They don't even have to knock on mine. Honestly, if they come to my door, I'll be like, I was already signed up 3 months ago. So let's get this rolling. But yeah, fiber's coming in. I'm excited about it. Maybe my bandwidth for this show will be a little bit better. So anyway, Gavin, I know that you have some updates. Last week you were in love with Home Assistant. So this is an even week, so you're going to be mad. Go.
Honeymoon's over now.
Honeymoon's over. So I ended off last week in an argument with my Home Assistant instance. We
were sleeping on the couch.
Yeah.
Home Assistant took the kids away.
They pushed an update and I installed it. And Friday we were just fighting. She was like, "Why did you update me? I was fine how I was." And I was like, "But I wanted the shiny new stuff." And
you're always trying to improve me.
Yeah. So they pushed an update, the new 2022.12, right? Update. And I installed it and everything was going going great for a while. And then it started crashing on me, right? It started randomly crashing. And that went through pretty much the weekend. So the only way I could get through that was I set up an automation that when I saw the memory was spiking. So when it spiked to 80, just auto reboot the server, it brought it back down. At least it kept things running until they figured it out. So a bug report was opened up on GitHub. And then by Monday, they fixed it. They released .3. It was fixed. They figured out what it is. They rolled back a library. It had something to do with caching in the video cameras and stuff like that. So now we're back in love again. We made up. I bought her some flowers, and I'm back in love with my Home Assistant setup again. So, just playing around with it, tweaking it a bit more. But I guess, before I got into Home Assistant, I would see the jokes about, people cringing about doing Home Assistant updates. Now I get those jokes. Now I understand what it was that you were joking about, crossing your fingers. The thing about it, people are like, you don't have to update, but at the same time, I wouldn't wait too long because there's so many things that change in an update that, the further behind you are, the more breaking things will happen when you do your update. So try and keep it up to date anyways. But we're back in love again. So until next
week. Yeah. I mean, it's odd week next week, so you're definitely going to be in love. Something's going to happen. You're going to be like, this is the most amazing thing.
You better pick up a mistletoe. I mean, you don't want any downtime over Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm keeping that thing warm. I talk to her all the time. She's been great. We've had some good conversations. Today she showed me dynamic dashboards, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, like when I'm setting up my dashboard, this is actually kind of cool. When I set up my dashboard, you have all your icons and everything, but then I have it set up so when I turn on my TV, then all the controls for the TV show up on the dashboard. But when the TV's off, all that stuff's hidden. Right? So it kind of like eliminates the clutter when you don't need it. I was like, that's really cool. I don't know where I'm going to take it, but I could see some other, use cases for it. Things like that. It's just so much easier in Home Assistant.
Between you and Seth and all your tech problems, like I don't want to touch anything. My Unraid server works great. I just don't touch it. I don't even look at it. And then my Home Assistant, it works fine, but I update it quite a bit as well. Every time I open the app and I see there's an update, I go ahead and just open it, and update it. But maybe I shouldn't do that anymore.
You give it tough love. You're like the cat person. You're like the one that wants a pet but doesn't want to have to look at it or take care of it. That I see you being that. I have a dog. We have to look at that thing all the time. I have to kick it every now and then, make sure it's still alive. But.
I think my problem with my Unraid was actually the same problem that Gavin's had, was that I had a bunch of automatic updates on, and I think that was like, I feel like this is kind of like this with this Docker thing that's on here. This is kind of like one of those what do they call them, like Rube Goldberg machines, where like if one's not running, it crashes the other, and I think that's what was happening. Like one would stop running to update. And the other thing that was depending on it would be like, wait a minute, I'm freaking out. Something's not there anymore. And it would not update correctly. So I disabled a lot of those, and I can just do those manually and then like one at a time in the correct order, and they'll probably work a little bit better. So hopefully, and it's been running a week. So, knock on wood, it'll probably be dead tomorrow. But
I always liked Dockers that were self-contained. When it had dependencies on other Dockers, I didn't like that, because some Dockers need a database that's in another Docker. So I try and find a version that somebody made that had everything in one, and then it would work a little better. Something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well, I mean, but then you have to go into that Docker to fix the database if something's breaking. I don't know. Like, I guess that's the power of this Docker thing, is that you can package everything up all in one, or you can make them into like individual things, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'm installing Home Assistant Docker right now, so.
Oh boy, I apologize, but they fixed the bug, so in the 0.3 release, you should be good to go. Install it. Let's get you up and running, and we'll hear about your love-hate relationship with her. Over the next week.
Oh, it failed.
That's typical.
Invalid tar header. I don't know what that means. Well, we'll try again next week.
If you're going to install it,
done.
Are you installing it as a Docker?
Yeah, why not?
No, install it as a VM. You need to install it as a VM. As a Docker, you can't install the add-ons. You can't utilize add-ons. They have to be other Dockers. If you install it as a VM, then you could just click install add-on, and it's so much easier. So much. Do it as a VM.
All right.
It's a little harder to set up, but it's worth it.
What should I use? Debian? Should I use Ubuntu? Should I use this? Is there
no? They have their own image.
They have their own image.
You just download the file, configure the Docker, with the memory and stuff, and then boot up to that disk image, and then it goes and does its thing, and then you can pass through your Zigbee or Z-Wave devices to it.
I don't have any of those.
You don't need any. You'll just discover your Wi-Fi devices. What's on your network?
My printers, yes.
Your printers, your TVs, your Apple TVs,
Sonos, yeah.
Yeah. Your Ratio if you have Ratio, your Ecobee if you have Ecobee, those type of things.
We're gonna get the mower working on this thing. That's the goal. The mower.
All right.
They said no API.
There you
but
go.
We're gonna make an API for this mower.
All right. You do some packet captures. I'll start the code.
I got a Charles
go.
proxy set up in no time. We'll have this thing reverse engineered, get those commands and everything.
We'll view it on the map so we know where it is as it starts to run up to Canada.
It doesn't. Yeah. Gavin stole my lawnmower.
Yeah,
It's like
I'll return it next season. Don't worry. It's on its way to Canada.
driving up
Little custody battle.
75.
Stopping at Tesla charging stations.
That's too good. That's too good. All right. Well, TJ, any projects for you, or are you just like trying to lay low before the holiday?
Man, no, this time of year sucks because I never have any of my own fun projects to do. I have everybody else's projects to do. So it's all the last minute stuff. Everybody's calling or texting like, oh, I got family coming in tomorrow. I need like my whole house redone, or, here's this thing we talked about for the last 9 months, but now I need it done before Christmas. So I'm doing all the boring stuff in the background that nobody cares about.
Okay. This doesn't sound fun at all.
Yeah, it's not fun. Being a business owner is not fun.
Yeah.
Especially during the holidays. But my project will be heading to Florida next week, so
All right.
I guess that's all right enough. It's Florida, but it's still vacation.
Yeah. I mean, what, Orlando probably? Is that right?
Yeah, this will be the closest we've been together, Seth, in the past like 3 years.
There we go. I could.
I'll just drive down and surprise you one day.
I'll pick the same day and drive up, and we'll miss each other on the road.
Maybe we can get some Jamaican beef patties and some pawpaws.
Yes.
Some
Two things that
pawpaw
we just can't
patties.
get our heads on right now.
Oh man.
And then I'll steal your lawnmower and bring it up to
Yeah,
Gavin.
right.
Cliffy.
All right, everybody. That's going to wrap up this week. We do want to give a big thank you to everyone who has supported the show using our Patreon page. If you don't know about that, head over to HomeTech.fm/support to learn how you can support HomeTech for as little as $1. Any pledge over $5 a month gets you a big shout out on the show, but every pledge gets you a invite to our private Slack chat, the Hub, where you and other supporters of the show can gather every day. And there's been some interesting conversations in there recently. I think Azuz I see isn't mentioned in here. Greg is maybe using Home Assistant. I don't know. It sounds like, Gavin, I think your influence is basically going to move us all over to Home Assistant. So
Yeah.
we're just going to rename the Hub the Home Assistant Hub, and that'll probably happen in the future.
If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see my rants about, like
Twitter.
sorry,
We don't talk about that. We talk about
sorry.
HomeTech.social.
Twitter?
On HomeTech.social, you'll see my retweets from Twitter where I rant about this Home Assistant stuff, and there's always somebody that, likes it or re-shares it, reblogs it, whatever the term the young kids are using now. But, and I'm going to start up my own Annoyed Gavin, and it's going to be everything Home Assistant that bugs me.
I think it's retweet. Isn't that
you
what
go.
they say? Retweet? Oh, wait.
No, it's reblog on Mastodon.
You can boost it on Mastodon. Boost it.
And reblog
Re-woolly
it.
mammoth it.
They change it up all the time, but it's kind of easy to figure out. All right. Well, if you want to help out the show but can't support financially, totally understand. Just appreciate a 5-star review in iTunes or a positive rating in the podcast app of your choice. With that wraps up another year of Home Tech news from everyone here. Have a happy holiday, and we'll see you next year.
Take care.
Till next time.
That was horrible. You could just say happy holidays.
Yeah, you just said happy holidays. Take care.
I was going to say
Happy
see you
holidays.
next year, but you took that from me, so.
Oh, sorry.
Jeez.
Ah,
Maybe next year I'll come up with a saying.
we should coordinate this.
I'll record an
That's funny.
independent podcast next week without you guys, where I just rant on Home Assistant for 45 minutes. Why can't I use the template with this platform?
We just need to come up with a home tech sidelines, and that can be your rant section.
Oh,
I don't know if anybody would pay for that though, but we could try.
no. All my first world problems.
We're just gonna make router hats and sell them.
That's what we should do, honestly. Forget this whole podcast thing. Like,
I'll represent us on Shark Tank.
we could have David McCabe make us some stuff out of a CNC machine.
I can see Kevin sitting there going, "This is the dumbest idea that I've ever seen on this show. We have $1 million in sale. This is the greatest dumb idea I've ever seen on this show."